Okay, well, thank you very much, Fiona. Do you want to unshare your screen, perhaps? And then, unfortunately, then people will be looking at me, but
There we
that
go.
might, that might be good. Yeah, no, I guess that came a little bit from what Vicky was saying, which was like, now is the time that we pull together and we help each other. And I think, I don't know if everybody raise your hand if you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's kind of a standard kind of like, psychological profiling kind of
Oh, yeah.
tool. Have you heard of that? So it starts basically the premise is that you can't move up this. There's five. So you go from physiological, which is like food, water, warmth. Then you go into safety, security, etc. Then you go into belongingness, being part of a group, and then you look for esteem within the group, and then you look for self-actualization, which is where basically you really try and live into your identity. So Maslow basically suggested that we can't kind of move up a rung until the previous rung is basically in place. So I think what I'm going to talk about now is really about being real with people, right? So the thing is that previously in our Western world we were so blessed with everything we could ever imagine, and we were really operating at that top end of Maslow's little chart, like we're self-actualization, live into your identity, be who you want to be, which was great, and we've had a great time. But obviously in the last few days, weeks, that has come crashing down, and realistically we're back down right in the physiological and the safety area of Maslow's hierarchy. People are looking after their families, and that's it. Food, toilet roll, right? These things that previously we'd take for granted are now so important to us. So I think that's really what I want to sort of talk about is that I've got 5 kind of areas. So hard to really nail it down, as Vicky sort of said. And I know Mark's going to take on some cool stuff later, so there may be a tad bit of crossover, but perhaps not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, Mark, sorry if I steal your thunder on a couple of bits, but I'm sure we attack things differently. So hopefully that'll be fine. So no one knows the future. Everybody's situation is different, as Victoria has said. So take this with that in mind, and see what you think. So my first comment really was, my first tip is, I guess you've got to be real. One of the things that I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys have, is particularly in marketing and comms, everybody's still got their automated comms on, and it's like, and radio and TV spots and stuff, and they're completely irrelevant. Like, they're completely irrelevant. Someone's trying to sell a luxury handbag when I'm trying to get toilet roll for my kids. Like, what is going on? So the first suggestion I'd make is be real. Can all your automated rubbish, right? Can it? And start again, rethink it, be real with your customers, with your people, be real. They're struggling the same way. Don't give them some namsy-pamsy kind of, let's all band together kind of thing without anything real in place. And with your partners, be real. Like, you might not be able to pay everybody, so you need to be open and transparent and real with them so that they can plan as well. So that's my first point, really. I'm going to keep it quite light, so forgive me, but hopefully there's the odd bit of information you'll find helpful. First point, be real. We're operating at the bottom of Maslow's pyramid, and remember that. Secondly, I was going to say, as a business leader or as a brand leader, you really need to take stock of your resources. Like, where are you? So to be responsible at this time is so crucial, right? Because you need to almost look at how much money have you got in the bank, right? This is it. We're in survival mode. What are your overheads? Who do you need to, pay, basically? And you need to start making some tough calls. I'm sure we all are. Like, do we need to subscribe to that thing? Do we really, can we talk to our landlords about the rent that we've got in our warehouse that we're not operating in right now? We need to really take stock of where we are. And I've called it kind of jettisoning the cargo, right? So anything you don't need, you got to can it right now. We've got to be in lockdown. And that is the mentality, which is hard because 2 weeks ago, we were like, rah, rah, off we go. And now we've got to adapt so quickly. So yeah, just a few thoughts on that. Hold what you can, communicate with who you can communicate with. It's great the government has just issued in this country, the sort of the fallbacks that they've just issued in terms of the grants and stuff. I deal with teams all over the world. So I was talking to someone in New York today. I talked with teams in Dubai. And I'm not kidding, like they have got none of that stuff, right? So they are literally folding left, right, and center. And so one of the things that I'm having to work on with teams is strategies like, how much money have you got in the bank? If you divided that equally between all of your employees, how much is that? And how long could that be eked out for, right? Could you say to everyone, look, you're only going to get $300 a month for the next 3 months, but that will guarantee you 3 months and get you that breathing space. And some of these companies are having to do that. Some companies are having to go to people and say, look, we cannot pay you, but you're not going to get a job anywhere else. So either we pull together and we try and figure this out, or we disband, and that's life. So these are the real tough decisions that I know businesses are handling. And I think it's really important that where possible, you buy yourself some time by taking stock of where you are and knowing exactly how long you can survive. So my third point is have a plan, right? All leaders got to have a plan. And sometimes we might not know what that plan is, because in other words, like we might not know what things are going to look like in 3 weeks' time, right? That's true. But what we can start doing is putting some structure in place for our teams, or even ourselves if we work for ourselves, and having something to just keep us sane, to keep us on track. So whereas before businesses might have a 3 year, 9 year, 3 year, 6 year, 9 year plan, 3-6-9 plan or something like that, we've got to really minimize that. So we might be looking at, what is our goal this week, right? What is our goal for our company this week? Is it just getting everyone set up digitally? Is it kind of making sure everyone's got the right equipment so that we can operate online? Is it putting safety first for our customers and making sure that we've got distancing in place? What is the goal this week? Just keep it simple, one goal. What is the goal then for the month? Is it just seeing this month out, or is it actually, broadening limiting our sort of objectives? Is it just to make sure everybody's okay and we've just kind of contacted all our suppliers, we've contacted as many customers as we can? Maybe that's our goal for this month. And then what does 3 months look like? What's success look like in 3 months for our business? Survival, fine. What about starting to think about having some sort of a plan together to come out of the crisis kicking? I liked what I think it was Jess was saying earlier, like she's already thinking about the party that we're all going to have. I've just noticed the sun's going down, right? And so I'm slowly sort of going back. I'm just going to hit my light on and I'll be back in 1 second. There we go.
Oh, that's better. I can see you now.
See me now. Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah. So that's kind of have a plan. And I think it kind of goes on to my two other points that I'd like to make. I look like really scary now because I've got spotlights above me, so I'll do that a little bit. My further 2 points are add value, right? So I know that sounds obvious, but I always think that the two big brand questions are, why do you exist beyond making money? And who do you exist to serve? They're the two killer brand strategy questions. So when you understand who you exist to serve, you now suddenly have a model of operating. In other words, instead of just talking product, like Victoria said, like you've invented a product and you're pushing it on people, no one cares about that. You've got to flip that. Who are the people and what do they need is the difference. So the key there is to basically think about your audience. Like, who are they? Maybe take your top 100 customers, right? Make sure you talk to them, listen to what they're saying to you, cut your comms that are just the standard old stuff, and think about how you could actually add value to those people. Maybe you've got some stock in your warehouse. Maybe you can create a digital seminar. Maybe you can send them something that will add value. I'm absolutely sick of getting the same old comms from people, like the CEOs saying it's really tough and this is what we're doing about the situation. No one cares what you're doing, right? I've got to look after my family, right? Give me something that will be useful to me, a tool. Maybe, I've heard of some companies sending out like stuff, leftover goods from their warehouse just to people to help them. We've had examples like Brewdog who have suddenly switched on their manufacturing to, instead of brew beer, to brew hand sanitizer, We've heard of Dyson yesterday. They've just, they've been prototyping ventilators. Now, not all of us are in that situation where we can do that. You know, if we're in a hotel industry or the gym industry, very hard. But even then, like I was thinking, like gyms, right? Say you own a gym. I don't know if anyone here does, but if you do, think about the fact that, you know, your audience now can't come to you. So how can you get to them digitally, right? Could you get your personal trainers to do 15-minute classes like in the morning and afternoon from now on in? Could you innovate things like that? Maybe. So there's ways as almost like you were saying, Fiona, of taking the offline experience, minimizing it, making it more digestible for online stuff, and doing what you can. We're doing it right now, right? A networking event online. My final point, and then I'll shut up. Oh, sorry, Victoria, did you want to say something?
Can I add in on that, Matt, if you don't mind?
No, go for it.
That what you were saying about sort of situational is really interesting. If you look at Joe Wicks right now, I think he's made such an amazing example, because he's recognized that parents are going to be going fucking crazy thinking, how am I going to homeschool my kids for the next 3 months? And he's put this out there with this exercise in the morning, you know, and I'm just like looking around the room here and I'm going, Eva could do cookery, nutritional cookery for kids. Now, yes, the return might not be there right now straight away, but that's a give, because you're right. It's not, it's looking at the situation right now. God, if someone can help parents free up time right now, Christ, you're going to be like a hero when this is over. So I completely what you're saying, yeah.
But that's the point, isn't it? The point is know your audience, right?
Yeah.
And then look at their unmet needs, and figure out a way where your brand can add that value that everybody needs. So I'll just sort of finish up if that's okay. Or just actually one small point on that, Victoria, that I think you touched on this. It's a great time to innovate and prototype and try things, because everybody's like forgiving, right? So that's what I was saying to Fiona before this, right? I said, we were like, if we screw up tonight, right, people will be like, hey, well, they're trying. Right. So okay.
Everybody loves a trial. God loves it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a great time to innovate. And so, you know, taking the example of the gyms or gyms for kids or whatever it might be, you know, see how that goes. You might start getting thousands and thousands of subscribers across the world, and then you can suddenly add it on as a very small fee and a different pricing model, and your brand continues, but in a completely different way. So when you go back online and we back offline, sorry, and we start going back out into the world, you might still keep that going. You might still have a little follower group that perhaps you never thought of. The final thing that I was going to say was to give hope to people, right? I think that is crucial as a brand leader. And I know Mark's going to talk about this sort of in a minute, but because we touched base, but my kind of thing on this is you need to almost have my suggestion is for most businesses is to have two strategies. One is a business continuity strategy, which is how do we service our audience as best we can on an ongoing basis? And the second really is a pivot strategy, is an innovation strategy, right? And that is all about how do you create something for the new world we're going to go back out into? Because things are not going to be the same. When we go back out there and the government says, let's go, you know, people are going to need to feel secure. They're going to need to feel safe. You know, I know a lot of people here in the hospitality industry, you know, that is going to be very different. So when that happens, you know, what are the innovations that your business, your brand is going to actually make? And so for that, I'll leave some detail to Mark, so hopefully he can follow up. But all I would say is it's very hard to put somebody in charge of both the continuity and the innovation strategy. You almost need to segment them. So for bigger businesses, I'm suggesting, look, put one person on it, put 3 people on it, put 5 people on it, put a little SWAT team together and commission them with the mission of finding that big idea. And there's loads of things you can do, from design sprints through to all sorts of things. And I won't go on about that. But that team will give your company hope. You may not know what they're going to come out with. And that really at this stage, it doesn't matter. You need to have that plan, and you need to go back into your company, present and say, look, this is what we're doing. We've got business continuity. This is how this is going to work. But running alongside that, guys, we're thinking about the future. We're going to come out of this fighting. We're going to be like the phoenix arising from the ashes. So that's it. I would also finally end up with the fact that I'm also happy to give any free advice to anyone who's struggling at the moment. So reach out. I'd love to help.
Thank you, Matt. No, that's fantastic. Thanks ever so much, Matt, for your insight. It's really interesting, and I think, you know, every point that you made on there is interesting. But you know, people are picking up on what you said before. We've got Diane who made a comment about people will remember companies who show they care, and I think that's a really valid point that you've made there. Is that, again, it goes back to the relationship building of keeping yourself relevant, keeping your profile raised, making sure that people don't forget you. Don't give up, even though, you know, we're going through a really tough time right now. Don't hide away. Now is the time to actually get out there more so than ever before, because it's quite easy to, while we're in isolation and behind closed doors, and people are treating it, not everybody, but some people I'm seeing are treating this like a bank holiday. You know, it's almost like they're treating it like they're on holiday, and I'm sensing that people aren't taking it as seriously as they perhaps should be, and they're not getting a strategy in place, and they're not planning ahead. And those are the people that unfortunately may get lost when things do get back to normal, as you quite rightly said, because you've got to stay relevant. You know, it's quite easily to get lost in the hustle and bustle of everything that's going on, and if you're not kind of keeping relevant and keeping memorable and staying out there, your competitors will be, and the people that are doing the same thing as you might well be.
I think one interesting question that we should all ask ourselves is, how do we want to be remembered when we go back to normal, right? Because we will get back to normal, we will get through it. But how will we be remembered? We'll be remembered as the company that like slashed everything and was really rude to people and just like, you know, was all about us, or the company like someone's put here, I think Diane's mentioned on the chat, you know, small local businesses that are helping neighborhoods will be remembered long after this has passed. And I think that's a really, really valid point.
Absolutely. And she's also mentioned about the fact that Wetherspoons are in her bad books at the moment as well, and mine too, Diane, you know. And we think about some brands that are out there that we're hearing getting bad press, Sports Direct, that aren't treating their staff maybe as well as they could do, that are making early redundancies, that are staying open when they shouldn't be open. There are things, you know, they're not respecting the law, they're not respecting everybody else when everybody else is closing, and those people that are closing, that can't afford to close, are doing the right thing, and those people that are staying open when they shouldn't be, you know, are really doing the wrong thing, and they're just looking after themselves. And so, yeah, well, those are the people that are going to be remembered for the wrong reasons, unfortunately.
I agree.
Right, so thanks for that then, Matt. We'll move on because it's already 10 to 7. Can you believe